expectations. The first of these is that the 2024 elections are anticipated to be the most contested in the last 30 years, reflecting a very competitive environment. Secondly, that the election has been highly litigated, but we have noted and are pleased to state that the cases have been dispensed with expeditiously, and even though the outcomes were received with mixed feelings, they did not generate any disruptive reactions. Thirdly, there is significant public scrutiny regarding the transparency and fairness of the electoral process, and there are heightened expectations for accountability from all stakeholders. A number of issues, key issues that we think need for us to pay attention to. The first of these is the general security, potential protests, special monitoring of political party conduct and speeches. The next is voters who are unable to identify their voting stations due to the amendment of the Form 24 versus limited education.
Good afternoon. The Commission reports a smooth start to national and provincial elections for 2024. By 7 o'clock, 93% of our network of 23,292 voting stations were reported open, both physically and online. The remainder of the voting stations at which we were delayed opened within the hour. We also unfortunately report that there were a number of voting stations at which we opened late, owing to delays on our material handling, also related to issues of escort where there were not enough security services to escort our material, including protests in certain communities. In most stations, queues had already formed before the stations were meant to open at 7. This, we think, is testament to the enthusiasm of South Africans to record their political choice. The Commission respects its obligation to ensure that each of the 27 million registered voters will receive an opportunity to record that choice before voting closes this evening. At 12 o'clock, the election operations around the country were reported to have been in good progress with minimal incidences that we are dealing with. Some of the incidences that we had to deal with are the following. late delivery of ballot papers, mostly in the city of Johannesburg and Region 3, which is the Sandton, Dunkeld, and Heidi Park area, as well as the Reduport area, because of departure to the strict instruction of delivery. People were being innovative, and in the process, they delayed the supply of voting materials to those stations. In the Eastern Cape, we had 5 voting stations that were not opened owing to community protest. Again, there we have confirmation that working with the South African Police Department, the voting stations are now open. There were 2 in Ntabankulu, 1 in Winnie Mandela, 1 in Port St. John's, and 1 in Enyandeni. Similarly, there were 20 voting stations at which we opened beyond 9 o'clock in the area of eThekwini, as well as in Umzi Wabantu, where owing to community protest, the station could not open, even though our staff were ready and able to administer the electoral project. The Commission assures voters that adequate supplies of all material, including 90 million ballot papers for all the 3 ballot types, are available, and every voter will be assisted to vote before voting stations close. We use this opportunity to remind voters of the following. 1, that they may only vote at a voting station at which they are registered, unless they had by the 17th of May given pre-notification to the Independent Electoral Commission to indicate the station at which they will vote and to do so and present at that station today on the 29th of May. That said, a voter who had given pre-notification to vote elsewhere but finds themselves at their voting district, that voter will be allowed to vote at that voting station, and they will be entitled to receive all their 3 ballots. The Commission also confirms that voting kicked off at various correctional facilities across the country to enable inmates who are registered and incarcerated an opportunity to cast a vote, and in fulfillment of Section 24B of the Electoral